Assalamu alaikum. It's a pleasure to be here, and we all hear about AI hallucinations, and I think this was a great example. It's overly flattered me, but thank you very much to the SOT team for inviting me. आज का जो panel है मेरे लिए बहुत important है because I'm the father of 3 children and I've gotten very deep into AI. Artificial intelligence, AI, has changed our lives forever, irrevocably. There's a massive disruption that has already happened, but many of us don't realize it. And it's almost like if you've heard that proverb of a frog. They put a frog in a pot of water, फिर चूल्हा on करते हैं. Aista aista, the water gets warmer, 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 warmer. But the frog never jumps out because it's happened gradually and hasn't realized what's happened around him, and the frog, of course, boils to death. But now where we are with AI, we're playing with it, we're amused by it. We don't know if we should allow our kids to use it or not to use it, to have our employees use it or not use it. A lot of questions, and while we're doing that, the frog is boiling to death because the world has changed forever. As an entrepreneur, as a young entrepreneur, I've been at the cusp of disruptions. This is how I've built my career, on identifying these opportunities where things are changing and trying to find ways to solve them with these new tools, with this new unfair advantage. Rosie.pk is the largest jobs platform in Pakistan. We have about 10 million professionals. We have about 65,000 organizations who use the platform. We have about 40,000 people apply for jobs every day. And this was created on the back of a dissatisfaction with the way hiring used to happen in Pakistan. It used to happen with newspapers. You'd post an ad in a newspaper, akhbar mein, you'd have to wait till Sunday because that's the newspaper issue where people would read. You wait 4 or 5 days, finally you do the paperwork, you get your ad, applications would come, a lot of them would come by mail, some would come by email, phir aap unko kholte the, dekhte the. And that whole hiring process on the back end would start very inefficient, and you'd pay a lot of money for it. So when I came to Pakistan, I moved back from the US, I had seen globally, this is ridiculous, this is not the way hiring is happening anymore, up to internet aa gaya hai. We launched Rosie, and it was an uphill battle, we fought with newspapers, and I remember meeting with owners of all the major newspapers and saying, ye hona hai, ye aana hai, and sab keh rahe the, ye Pakistan mein nahi hota. ये बाहर होता है, ये पाकिस्तान में नहीं होता. We're in disbelief that we can ever be, so advanced. And eventually what happened was those newspapers, their job classified business went almost down to zero, which was the classifieds was where the newspapers would make money. Those businesses have been disrupted forever. And if you see their operation model right now, it's changed, But the signs were there 20 years ago. And there were people 20 years ago saying, yaar, ye hoga, ye hoga. You weren't listening. So I used to go around and give talks at, various schools, speaking to MBAs and saying, Nokia ko dekho, ha, 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 ha. They didn't see it coming, they went out of business. BlackBerry ko dekho, ha, 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 ha. It was almost humorous to watch these organizations, there's Kodak. They used to make the film. We would talk about it. We said, these people were so stupid, they didn't see this disruption coming. And now, I find myself in the same position that those companies were in then. The only difference is that I'm paranoid about being there. And I think all of you should also be. So I'm going to share a very quick story with you because that's what I'm supposed to do. And then I'd like to say a few words at the end for all the educators in this room. I'm sure I've got a great audience of people who are teaching the future leaders of the country. When Rosie started, it grew very, very quickly. It grew almost organically. And we helped over 1 million people find jobs. Employers would use us. And it was an exhilarating ride. As a business, as an entrepreneur, as a social entrepreneur that wants to make a difference in people's lives, very rewarding. We fought a lot of battles against the incumbent industry. We saw it grow. And then waqt ke saath saath things started changing a little bit. LinkedIn bhi tha, Indeed bhi tha, social media bhi tha, apps bhi aa gaye. Lots of things started changing. And I started to look around and I said, we're going to be a Kodak very soon. I'd be like, nahi, nahi, sir, everything's going fine, theek chal raha hai, ye ho raha hai, wo. I said, no. I mean, if you just look at what's happening, there's disruption. And the business model that we're on the cusp of is about to be disrupted. So when you're in that situation, it's very difficult because when you shift to something different and new, you often end up cannibalizing your bread and butter and what you're doing. And that's very difficult. You have a large organization running, you have to pay bills, people have salaries, clients, sales. All of a sudden you're saying, nahi, ye future nahi hai, future ye hai. But how do you make that shift? It's very difficult even if you know what it's about to come. But being a student of this trend throughout history, as a young entrepreneur, when I moved back to Pakistan, about 3 years ago when ChatGPT first came out and we saw it, we started playing with it. I'm a software programmer engineer at heart. I started to do programming at home. I started to connect to these models. I started learning more and more and more, watching all the lectures I could find, watching Stanford classes, and learned an incredible amount. And what I learned was, very quickly, that sitting in a room, I could write software that would improve the matching between jobs and individuals a few orders of magnitude. And I had been working on this problem my entire career, and here I could do it very quickly. We decided to launch a parallel jobs platform without disrupting our existing job platform and call it Rosie GPT. But we didn't tell anybody about it. We didn't want to disrupt what we were doing. We wanted to build something new without the baggage, without the intellectual encumbrances. Yaar, hum to aise karte hain, aise karte the, hamara process ye hai, to hum idhar thoda sa AI idhar dal dete hain. Chalo theek hai, bahut acha ho gaya. This is what I was trying to avoid, because when you do that, you have value loss. And what you're going to see happen is those organizations that are able to go AI first and think AI natively, think the entire processes with AI in mind and not just a piece of the puzzle with AI in mind. Those individuals that will learn how to use AI natively to do things very, very quickly, whether it's making a video or making a diagram or making a PowerPoint or making a presentation or doing an analysis, those individuals are going to move forward in their career much, much faster than the people who thought, nahi, AI achhi cheez nahi hai, this is cheating, it's making me stupid, I'm not going to learn AI. And kids, don't use AI. Do it manually. There's going to be a massive gap of talent between the people who use AI and the people who don't use AI. Why? Because the most valuable commodity on earth, which is intelligence, it's the most scarce, hard to train, time-consuming, rare commodity, which we all struggle to create in our children and the future leaders. We succeed sometimes, we don't succeed sometimes. Guess what? This is now a commodity. Ye ek aam si cheez hogi hai jo aapki jeb mein hai. Albert Einstein's in your pocket right now. Ask any question about anything. My chaukidar can tell you more about many things than I can when he's using ChatGPT in Urdu through a voice note. Our intellectual ability is quickly becoming equalized. So the value lies in being able to use your brain and AI at the same time to move forward. So realizing this, we launched Rosie GPT, which was an AI first platform. We didn't disrupt Rosie and our whole, what used to be a very innovative flow. And now when I look back and I say, this is so outdated based on what we can do. We launched this AI first platform. We got a few of our clients on it, a few more. We let job seekers join the platform. And we have built something that I'm extremely proud of, and I'm going to show you in a video in a second. But the basic concept is, before we had to use complicated web forms and laptops for people to join this online employment revolution. And we excluded a very large portion of the workforce. There are 20 million white-collar workers in Pakistan, and there are 40 million blue-collar workers. 2/3 of the workforce is outside our net, and we're leaving them behind. Your chaukidar, your driver, the clerk in the store that you like to go to, the waiter in the restaurant. Because they didn't have the means to communicate in a structured manner online. Well, now we're just about to launch Rosina, Rosie's AI chatbot, which is a headhunter, a recruiter, speaks Urdu, fluent Urdu, speaks Urdu in voice notes, speaks Urdu in chat, speaks English, fantastic English. And Rosina now not only is going to help the white-collared educated workers improve their resumes, their CVs, and apply for jobs and alert them about those jobs in a very customized way that's a perfect match, which we could never do because we can't call 10 million people and alert them all the time. But Rosina now will be doing this for the 40 million blue-collar workers, talking them in Urdu, asking them questions, building Harvard MBA-style resumes for them that accurately reflect what they do, and matching them through unstructured jobs, also brought to us by voice notes, and people don't understand what they need to write a job description. And the matching that we can do can create tremendous prosperity and tremendous empowerment. So this is where Rosie is going. We really believe that we have a shot at uplifting a very large portion of our labor force, which is excluded, which is not matched efficiently, and which is frankly very lost for how to upskill. And the last message I want to leave you with, and I hope this will inspire you because the thought has inspired me, is what is happening today. We have realized, I'm sure you have realized, that you can do things that are beyond your skill level with AI. I have a A-level student who is in my office for 4 days using our AI. After 4 days, he used these AI tools to generate a mobile app, Android and iOS, for ordering coffee from a cafe nearby. He made a back-end website to allow order tracking. A-level student, 5 days. My team has been building software like this for the past year with a team of iOS programmers and Android programmers and back-end developers. This A-level kid with a lot of grit did this essentially in 5 days. What this means is that we have, for the first time in human history, the ability to take somebody of lower education, lower intellect, lower language skills, and give them superpowers that they can rival the work of a consultant at McKinsey. So what's going to happen to jobs? Jobs are going to move from very expensive, super specialized MIT PhDs, which may not be needed for all of those tasks, to lower level skills. And those lower level jobs are going to move lower level. So if you look what's happening, majority of the jobs are going to be pushed down to relatively unskilled workers. Because those unskilled workers, if you can speak Urdu in a voice chat, can generate incredible English through it. Can allow you to understand the thought behind it, and you can interact with it. Pakistan has 2 million people that enter the labor force each year that we cannot ever hope to educate. They don't have the education. We don't have enough educational institutions to teach them. They don't have the background, and we consider this a liability. This is our biggest opportunity. Because the world's jobs are going to come down to cheap labor that's able to navigate AI and do skills that we never thought would be able to be done by these people ever. And this is the amazing opportunity we have before our country. We must all embrace AI. We must teach our children to embrace AI. Please don't tell them don't use AI. They will be left behind. With that, I would like to just show a video. It's only 3 minutes. But this shows you the transformation journey of what we did personally in our business because we felt a disruption coming, moving from Rosie to Rosie GPT. Assalamu everyone. Greetings from Rosie. Assalamu alaikum everyone. Greetings from Rosie. We've gone back to our pioneering roots to launch Rosie GPT, our state-of-the-art AI-first recruitment system. We're very proud of it, and I'm excited to show you what we can do. Let's get started by posting a job for an HR performance manager. First, enter the job title for the position. Then, select from the AI-generated skills that are likely to be relevant to your role, or you can add new skills on your own. Let's fill in some extra information about our requirements, so the results can be tailored to our needs. You can paste or add any thoughts or requirements in simple English, or paste extra information about the job from other documents. Don't worry, our AI will organize and clean it all up for you. Enter the maximum budget for the position. This can be hidden in the job description, but allows us to identify great matches in your price range. Instantly, our AI generates a world-class job description for you. You can download it as a PDF document or share a link to the job across all social media platforms in one click.
All components of the job description are editable if you want to make any changes. To help you later evaluate a selected candidate once they join, we also generate suggested key performance indicators and evaluation matrices based on the job description. Let's click this button to see the suggested key performance indicators for this job. You will also see an evaluation matrix which helps you score the employee against these KPIs for their performance reviews. I'm now going to upload a batch of 65 CVs and let Rosie GPT do its magic. Instantly, Rosie GPT analyzes the CVs based on the job description. The CVs have been categorized according to how good of a match they are for the job, along with the skills that match the requirements. You can see a comprehensive evaluation of each candidate based on the specified requirements. Now, let's test our candidates by creating a multiple choice question. Our AI generates test questions based on your job description. Select the questions that you would like to include in the test. I'm also going to add an AI video interview so I can assess their interpersonal skills. This will also save you and your team massive amounts of time required to coordinate and conduct interviews with other team members face-to-face. Now, I can use AI to auto-generate behavioral or technical questions that apply to this role, and I can tailor the evaluation criteria, which is editable as well. Select the time you want for the MCQ test and then press Create Test, which will automatically send it to all the candidates. You can also create a live coding test and auto-generate questions in multiple programming languages. Since it's not required for our job role, I'm going to move ahead. Let's see how the candidates have performed. Press this button next to the name to see the AI calculated match score for this job. You can also click to watch how the candidate performed in the video interview with an AI generated summary, a real-time transcript, and an overall analysis of how accurately they match the requirements. I like this candidate, so I'm going to click here and shortlist him. You can also chat with your CVs through our AI HR assistant to help you filter the candidate best for your role. As a bonus, click on Suggested Candidates to see matching candidates that we have identified from the Rosie database. Our intelligent AI chatbot searches through Rosie's extensive database, identifying top-ranked candidates that perfectly match your requirement. It's that simple. With Rosie GPT, you can do anything you can imagine. Well, almost anything.
Thank you, Mr. Monis Rahman, for sharing your insightful experience with us. Our next storyteller is Miss Maha Khalid. Miss Maha Khalid is a strategist, brand architect, and entrepreneur with nearly 2 decades of experience turning opportunities into momentum. She has shaped strategies for global brands such as Unilever, Coca-Cola, Nestlé, Dubai Parks, Resorts, and Barize. Her venture, 24/7, began as a D2C grocery model during COVID and evolved into a B2B retail platform supporting neighborhood kiryanas through better pricing, financing, and data-driven inventory. Through initiatives like Apni Dukaan, she has contributed to modernizing small retailers and strengthening retail ecosystems across Pakistan. I now invite Ms. Maha Khalid to share with us her experiences as an innovator.
Is this working? Hello, everybody. Itni lambi introduction meri di hai ke I'm this and that. I'm just a regular person. I want to start off by saying, and I see a lot of women here in the audience, which is amazing. In every founder's journey, you come to a point where you think, why do my ideas die? Why doesn't everything that I think of building and my ideas are great, why don't they really pick up from the idea stage to actually building it? And I had that moment too, as I sat with my laptop, staring into the screen, thinking, I'm full of ideas, I want to create impact, I want to do things, but somehow I keep failing. Is it me? And I came to the conclusion that it's actually not me. I work in tandem with other people. I work better when I work with other people. So every idea of mine has included having other people on board. So I'll just take you through my journey. At 24/7, we are actual human co-founders, 5 of us. And a couple of years ago, and this is pre-AI times, now AI has become very, very common, but back then it wasn't. One of our co-founders dropped out abruptly. He left the company because of mental health issues. And he was responsible for a very important function, which was extremely technical, and it had to do with our growth. For an established company, when something like this happens, it's just a gap and it's a delay. But when it happens in a startup, it's a death sentence. We could just crash. We can't meet our goals, investors are going to pull out, and we'll have to shut down. We interviewed people. By some miracle, we found a couple of people, but nothing worked. So we resorted to AI as a tool. And then we realized AI was doing more than just being a tool, it was being a co-founder for us. So the entire team, the growth team, started working in execution, while the AI worked for the technical strategy, crunching the numbers. It was processing spreadsheets while we were asleep. Because AI does not need to shower, does not need to sleep, does not need to eat, has no mental health crises, doesn't have a family to go back to, has no emotions. Well, sometimes it does. And then this is something that we realized much later on, that we didn't need to replace our co-founder, and we're doing fine with AI. We developed the LLM, we made it a little bit better. And then furthermore on my journey, I was building another venture, and it was the second fastest growing industry in Pakistan. Obviously, I can't reveal a lot of details. I had a human co-founder again, who was in another time zone altogether, and I used to update him religiously, and we obviously had our functions defined, who's going to do what. But I realized from day to night, even waking up in the middle of the night with an idea, I was brainstorming with AI. I was crunching numbers with AI. I developed the pitch deck with AI. I was doing projections with AI. And while I was doing all of this, the grunt work, my co-founder was out there trying to raise funds and selling us for cheap. He had found some funds which were generated from sources that were unlawful and unethical. So I dropped out of that particular venture as well. Moving on, I again ventured out for a pilot of a really impactful, globally impactful idea, which had to do with women being able to earn while sitting at home and not in a job. And we were at our pilot stage. We even had investors line up wanting to fund our venture. And then my co-founder dropped out because of psychiatric problems. And this was another failure. But I would like to tell you that all this fancy schmancy introduction that I got from AI, that's not the real life of a founder. The real life of a founder is filled with a lot of failures. We second guess ourselves, we constantly are self-critical, we constantly think what is going wrong, we kind of laser focus on that. And there's a lot of failure in a founder's life. And I constantly thought, why does this keep happening? Is it me? Do I choose poorly? जैसे शादी होती है उसमें compatibility बहुत ज़रूरी होती है, उसी तरह co-founders के साथ भी आपकी compatibility बहुत ज़रूरी होती है. आपकी कभी भी at some point लड़ाई हो सकती है किसी बात पे. You know how when you send messages on WhatsApp and sometimes people misunderstand you and you think to yourself, but I didn't even say it that way. You assumed a tone. क्योंकि WhatsApp पर वो इंसान जिस अपने mind frame में होता है वो वैसे ही perceive करता है. तो अगर आपने चीज़ नहीं भी गुस्से में कही होती है गलत तरीके से वो उस तरह से perceive हो जाती है. वैसे ही लाइफ में compatibility with co-founders is very very important because कभी किसी को आपकी tone नहीं पसंद आ रही. हम लोग it's such a stressful thing when you're building a new venture that a lot is happening in your life. लोगों की families हो रही होती हैं, आपका mental health कहाँ जा रहा है, you together, you're spending too much time together and you're in this high stress environment. I have realized that I've avoided becoming a solo entrepreneur because I believe and have believed for the most part of my life that I work better in tandem with other people. लोगों के साथ काम करना इसलिए फायदा है क्योंकि I bring something to the table but I have certain limitations and they would fill those limitations. But when you're building in the early stages, you don't necessarily have to take on a co-founder. You can actually, these days, take the help of AI and build your pilot, get to the proof of concept, do your pitch deck, do your projections. It can fill in a lot of technical roles so that you can do the actual human grunt work. It can brainstorm with you. And once you've built your company, you bring on and start hiring people. Usme se you can choose to offer co-foundership and equity to a good person that you've hired, and you think, okay, they can be my human co-founder. But I think, and this is global statistics, 65% of startups fail because of co-founder conflict or disagreement or incompatibility. And now in this day and age, 40 to 60% of a lot of technical roles in the early stages of startup can be taken over by AI. So why not? Use it. So I think in my journey, I wouldn't say that AI replaced a human co-founder for me, but it definitely replaced my limitations and it helped me with my resilience. And it kind of confirmed every time I had doubts about where I'm headed and what I'm doing. So with that, I would love to take some questions because I see a lot of women in the audience. Anybody? Koi sawal? Also, it's incredibly hard when you're a woman. आप बच्चे भी पाल रहे होते हो, घर भी चला रहे होते हो, venture भी build कर रहे हो, तो वो भी आपका एक बच्चा होता है. Any questions anybody has to ask from me how I used AI? अच्छा, मजे की बात. I would have multiple windows open when I would be talking to ChatGPT, Gemini, and other model. किसी में मैं birthday party plan कर रही होती थी, एक जगह मैं उसके साथ brainstorm कर रही होती थी, business का idea. एक तरफ मैं उससे बात कर रही होती थी कि मेरी sleep जो है वो मेरा focus नहीं सही चल रहा. What should I do? Should I change my diet? So you know, ChatGPT, Gemini, and all of these models, they're not just there to help me with work, but they're also helping me as a non-human with other issues in my life, which I'm balancing out. So there's a question.
Okay, Miss, I have a question. That you are saying that you had conflicts with your co-founders, right? But you should work on resolving it instead of taking help from the AI, because AI can't replace human brains. And there are a lot of things that AI can't do, because I myself use in my professional life, in my career, a lot of ChatGPT, and even I'm asking personal questions as well, and it got really good answers, a really good response. But how can you replace human brain with AI? I know it's very easy, it's very easy, and you don't have to go through a lot of things with it. Like sometimes people go personal, or there is investment issues, or there is psychiatric issues, mental health issues, and I myself go through this, and I don't feel like I should be ashamed of it, but I work on it. But my question to you is, can AI replace human brain? I don't think so. I don't agree with it. So what's your answer?
So the irony of this is AI भी humans ने ही बनाया है और उसकी intelligence भी हमारे पर ही depend करती है. The more we feed into AI, the more intelligent it gets. So no, I'm not here to advocate for AI is going to replace humans or is replacing humans. And understand that I'm a millennial. मेरी generation में ज़्यादातर लोग डरे हुए थे हमारी नौकरियां गईं, AI आ गया है. And I will not say that I wasn't either. Not that it would replace my job, but I was a little hesitant because, let's be honest, tech changes faster than we breathe, right? तो मैं एक ज़माने में जाके तो डायनासोर बन जाऊंगी, right? So yes, when AI came into our lives, we were all very, I think, hesitant कि पता नहीं क्या होगा. But I'm trying to tell you that I've benefited from it and how I've benefited. No, it does not replace a human co-founder for me. Like I said, I work in tandem. I work better with other people. मैं अकेले चीजें करने से बेहतर है किसी के साथ करूं. अच्छा लगता है. अकेले करने से मजा भी नहीं आता. बट जब आप बिल्ड करो तो शुरू वाली स्टेजेस के लिए जब आपको कोई चाहिए होता है टू शेयर द बर्डन ऑफ द बिल्डिंग विच इज वेरी स्ट्रेसफुल थिंग बाय द वे इन द अर्ली स्टेजेस AI कैन हेल्प यू. You don't need to go out and look for a co-founder, a human co-founder. AI will help you with the basics and the starting point. And then once you get the funding and you start raising money, तो आप जरूर co-founders ले लें. आप in fact जो लोग hire करते हैं उन्हीं में से co-founder उनको offer कर सकते हैं equity, जो prove करें अपनी loyalty और आपके साथ vision share करें. Does that answer your question? Thanks. So I think we've run out of time. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Maha Khalid, for sharing your experiences with us. Last but not the least, we have Mr. Umar Nadeem to share his experience as an innovator. As the founding partner at Tabard Lab, Mr. Umar Nadeem advises public and private sector organizations on technology, innovation, and policy. With over 18 years of experience across Pakistan, East Asia, Eastern Europe, and Africa, he has led large-scale transformations in governance, service delivery, institutional reform, and digital strategy. He has worked extensively with the World Bank and the United Nations. Omar holds a Master of Public Policy from the Blavatnik School of Government at the University of Oxford. I now invite Mr. Umar Nadeem to share with us his story as an innovator.
Can you hear me? Oh, perfect. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for listening. Fascinating conversation. Fortunately, Monis was talking about some of the schools and universities he went to when he started Rosie. I used to be in the audience then. And, you know, we've benefited from what Monis has created over the years. Quick poll. How many of you think AI is making your life easier? Show of hands. Oh, everyone. Must be teachers. How many of you think AI is making your life more difficult? Awesome. We have some realists here. This is going to be interesting. Because I think while it's making our life easier, it's also making our life difficult. And some of us are realizing it, and some of us will realize it. But that doesn't really mean that we can ignore AI. It's become what I call everyday tech, and whether we know we're using AI, whether we deliberately use it, whether we avoid it, it's still there, and it's going to become more pervasive and more widespread and more common. And the pace at which AI is evolving and how it's essentially now being embedded in things that we do, in processes that we run, in things that we don't even realize, it's going to increase exponentially. So we'll quickly start from what the Tabard Lab is. I've spent a lot of time consulting in Pakistan and outside. Whenever we think of a top-tier consulting firm, rarely a Pakistani entity comes to mind. And so back in 2018, when we started the Tabard Lab, the idea was to create a local brand that could compete with international consulting firms. So governments and private sector organizations, when they want to hire people who can come and solve problems for them, they shouldn't always have to look outside Pakistan. And, you know, we should have local talent and local potential and local people who can solve for those problems. Because we understand the context a lot better than people flying in from somewhere, spending a few days here, and then flying out. And while that expertise is really key and essential and critical, we should be able to match it with what we have in Pakistan. And this happens in other sectors, right? We export products, we export tech, and there's no reason why we shouldn't be able to export knowledge services. And that was basically when we started the Bad Lab. I think we'll just ditch the slides and move on. And with that in mind, our focus was essentially how do we solve for some of the biggest problems that Pakistan faces. We always say system chalta nahi hai, system kharab hai, cheezein nahi hoti, infrastructure kharab hai, service delivery kharab hai. How do we fix it? And so we started focusing a lot on that. In the early days, we were a bootstrap small firm. We could fit around a small conference table, the 4 or 5 of us. And we were really focused on burning some sweat equity. Thank you, Ji. And we were really focused on producing reports and analyses and papers that would essentially help people understand our take on a number of things. And what we call our working papers used to be a good 40 to 60 page report with a lot of analyses with numbers, and text and evidence and desk reviews and talking to people and processing those insights. And by the time in 2019, when I had gone through the 3rd report of editing, designing, analysis, I went to my co-founders and said, I think it's about time we start training our own algorithm, because the amount of effort that it was taking to receive inputs from people, to write them out, to weave them, to stitch them, to present them in a certain way, it would take us 3 to 4 months to actually produce a document that we could hit publish on. And what we started debating was, should we train people or should we train an algorithm? And this is 2019. How many of us were actually using AI in 2019? Yeah, very few of us, right? If you can see that really small 2019 on the screen, that's how small AI was in 2019. It was experimental, it was in proof of concept stages. The total market size, and this too Gemini Pro 3 told me last night, was around $40 billion. Can anyone guess what the market size now is in 2025? This is how big it's become. It's now crossed $750 billion, right? The energy usage that powers AI has increased by 10 to 18 times. And so back in 2019, we got really excited. Oh, we're going to become the first AI-powered think tank and advisory firm in Pakistan and maybe in the region with our own proprietary algorithm. And we went to a few of our friends in tech and we asked them, what would it take to build this? And their first question was, do you have a few $1 million? Because that's the kind of infrastructure, training, resourcing that would take for an algorithm to do what humans were doing back then over 4 to 6 months. And obviously we didn't have the money, so we decided we're going to just focus on what we know best, use the great talent that Pakistan has, and build a firm that relies on people and processes, and we'll get to the tech part over time. But fast forward 2025, when we have new models and updates coming every couple of months, that's going to get faster. और जब हर कोई AI use कर रहा है, prompting है, generative AI है, agents हैं, all of these things are now becoming normal. People with no computer science background can actually develop a lot of these things. We're kind of ending up in a situation like this. Just take a moment to read this, but then take 2 moments to reflect on this. Because this is literally the kind of situations we are ending up every day because of the use of AI. So essentially, someone puts in 3 bullets and produces 10 pages, and the recipient of those 10 pages asks AI to summarize it in 3 bullets. And that's the cycle we're in now. And that's the part where the AI starts making your life difficult, right? And so, just like everything else, it's really important to think and go back to the intentionality and the purpose and how we plan to use these technologies for what we do, how we do it, but more importantly, what is it helping us achieve? And the simple answer is, it should help us do more, do better, do faster, do cheaper. And that's really the way we think about AI. How the Bad Lab is using AI right now. So again, thanks to the evolution that has now made all of this easier, we're focusing on 2 very specific use cases. One is, how do we try and use technology to reduce the literacy barriers in Pakistan? Our adult literacy is still at 60%, more or less, and this has been constant for the last 10 years. Now imagine a world where technology is fundamentally changing how we operate and our adult literacy stays constant for almost a decade. And so what we're building is a platform that can digitize and automate interactions with communities, but we don't create the barrier कि English में जवाब देना ज़रूरी है. And so what we're working on is, how do we use AI and technologies to technologies around natural language processing, कि हम WhatsApp के voice notes को text में convert कर सकें और numbers में convert कर सकें और competencies assess कर सकें, and then we use that to basically throw back something at the end user in their own language. And so we eliminate this asymmetry and gap that exists. The other thing that we're doing is we're building an economic intelligence platform. It's called Vaze. And the idea is, can we actually understand and predict the Pakistani economy and the regional economy and the global economy in a much more proactive and responsive way? Things that move very quickly need to be analyzed even quicker. And again, जो काम पहले लोग बैठ के करते थे, अब वो technology बहुत आराम से कर सकती है. And so essentially we're powering the entire range of analytics through machine learning and AI. Back in 2003, when I was doing my first internship, it was about taking annual reports of companies in Pakistan. So itni moti report publish hoti at the end of the year, which has their fiscal performance. And the internship was essentially feeding the profit and loss statements, the balance sheets, and the cash flow statements in Excel. So I was literally key punching numbers by looking at printed reports, because PDFs for all of those reports did not exist. And I was putting them in Excel, and then 2 people used to sit and cross-check each of the numbers. This particular exercise is now being done by technology. So we're pulling in sources across the web which have published data on websites, on PDFs, on Excel sheets, and a coded machine algorithm is basically picking each of those numbers, slotting it in the right places, and then helping us understand the relationships amongst those. And so there's a fundamental shift of what would require us 10 people to sit 8 to 10 hours a day and get done in 3 to 4 weeks, what Maha and Monis talked about. It can be done while we're asleep, and the data gets refreshed the next morning. And so that's really the power of AI. अब question ये है कि हम उसको अपने process में कैसे incorporate करें, and how do we use that? We strongly believe that human agency needs to be protected, preserved, and augmented, and technology should help us do it. So we're not trying to actually cut out the humans from the process. What we're really trying to do is get people to use technology and offload the tasks that they don't need to be worried about. And really focus on the part where their intellectual thinking and cognitive skills are triggered and stimulated, because the grunt work is already done by the technology. And I think that's the really, really important part. If we start giving control to technology, that's the area where I become a little uncomfortable. And people would argue that giving control to people has not helped us a lot, and that's fair. But I think that's really the fine line, जहाँ पे हमें technology and लोगों का जो है वो balance और equilibrium define करना पड़ेगा. And that's going to vary across different segments and sectors and societies and industries and economies. And there's no formula that exists there. But I think जो सबसे ज़रूरी चीज़ हमारे लिए वो ये है कि हम लोगों को कैसे elevate कर सकते हैं by using technology. How do we help them do things that they couldn't do, acquire new skills that they couldn't acquire, but more importantly, process at a rate that's much faster and evolved. That will lead to disruptions. There is no doubt about it. I'm sure everyone reads about the job cuts and the layoffs because of technology and automation. And everyone also reads about, oh, this is going to create more opportunities. Every revolution, agricultural, industrial, IT and tech, and now the fourth industrial revolution is going to create more jobs. But the key thing here is that वो jobs खुद से create नहीं होंगी. And we have to be very deliberate and thoughtful about how we're going to reskill and upskill people to survive in this rapidly changing and evolving environment. And I think the one thing that we've realized over the years is there were days when we used to wonder, will we last the next month or not? And in that situation, I think the human co-founders played the most important role, जो मेरे ख्याल में AI नहीं कर सकता. And so, having the support of people who share the vision, who share the purpose, who are aligned on how we have to get through this, that's the part where I think technology will take at least a much longer time to actually replace. And so I think the key message here is, should we worry about the future? The favorite answer, it depends. But I think we know what it depends on, right? And the really important thing is that we make sure that we're able to understand, we're able to retain control, we're able to make sure that human agency and intellect stays a part of the equation instead of outsourcing the thinking and the doing part all in one go. But I'll just stop here and happy to take any questions or reflections or, open up the floor to other people and talk about that. Thank you.